a lot of people just don't know what they don't know, but they want
Yeah.
to know to get better. And so as soon as you present the idea, this might be tied to an emotion, let's release that emotion. Here's an oil to breathe, which oils to breathe, of course, we talked about how they affect the brain so quickly, and start releasing those emotions if that's your intention. So many people, once that seed is planted, like it kind of changes their perspective on everything, which it should, right?
Well, thank you for coming today, Holly. It's good to have you, and
Thank you
you're a
for
good friend. This is Holly Draper, and she has quite the resume of ability and her company. And so, what I want to do first is have Holly introduce herself and what she does, and then I'm going to ask some questions about how it fits in with the mind and the body connection. So go ahead, Holly, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Thank you, Ron. So I'm an aromatherapist. I've been studying essential oils for about 20 years now. I went and took my education to a new level. So I went and got a master's degree in aromatherapy. I'm one of the two ARC internationally registered aromatherapists in the state of Utah. So it's a very high international certification that I have, as well as a master's degree. I am very particular about essential oils, and I founded the very first organic essential oil line that's completely organic and wildcrafted in the state of Utah. So I've been doing my essential oil line for about 9 years and studying aromatherapy for about 20.
Hmm. Now, has it been fun?
It's been super fun, and it's been super hard because sometimes when you try to educate people, it goes against rumors or myths that they've heard, and it has not been very fun sometimes to try to educate people on a higher level.
So, and I didn't realize I would ask this question because I had some other ones in mind, but when it comes to business, enjoying it is very important because obviously there's a lot of work to do in business and there's a lot of obstacles, and you know that there's just who knows. And currently the obstacle now with the the outbreak and things like that, a business has really had to adjust quite a bit. So, of all the things that you've done to create this oils business, this essential oils business, what was the favorite? What did you enjoy the most?
The favorite thing that has come about. So I love having access to these oils for my own personal reasons.
Hmm.
That's why I started in aromatherapy in the first place, is I just wanted to learn how to use essential oils and use them and learn how to use them for my kids. The second thing is the people I've met. Clearly, I love to teach. So I teach classes all the time. I've taught hundreds of classes over the years. And the people that I meet and the people that I help. So when people come to me and say, like, this changed my life, like you helped me so much when nothing else could, like that just feeds my soul. Like I feel like I almost have a mission to help people, and so I'm driven to help people, and I love that. So that's probably the second thing. And the third thing is it's been a real blessing for my family. My husband is able to spend more time at home with me and my kids, and I love that convenience of doing a business. But you were right, it's a lot of work. I had no idea how much running a business, a growing business, it's a lot of work.
Well, especially because you have certain standards. If you cut corners all over the place, but the problem with that is it comes back and bites the business eventually anyway.
Exactly.
And you kept pretty high standards, and so you were fighting an uphill battle sometimes, correct?
Absolutely. In fact, my standards for essential oils are so high. I've been to some of the international aromatherapy conferences, and big international gurus, like the keynote speakers at some of these conferences, have come to our booth and smelled our oils and said, these are the best oils I've ever smelled. Like, I mean, we have very high standards. All of our essential oils are certified organic or wildcrafted. And it takes a lot of more work to be USDA certified organic in addition to everything else. So yes, absolutely, super high standards and all that that entails. Yeah.
Well, and so this obviously got a little personal when I said, what did you like the most? Now, what did you like the least?
So I love teaching people. I love helping people to learn. I literally went to great extents and spent tens of thousands of dollars on my education to learn the correct aromatherapy and get internationally certified. I've even been like on social media platforms and posted things and just been attacked, by people who have been miseducated and taught something incorrectly, and they attack me, and I say, hey, I know, here's my credentials, I know what I'm doing. But just because some myths and some false things are so prevalent, people believe them, even though a person who's very educated in them that is trying to tell them opposite. So that's been brutal. Like, I almost can't go on Facebook anymore because it's just been really brutal, because most people out there believe untruths about essential oils.
Well, but why do they do that? Why, you said it's miseducation. It's more than just the miseducation, isn't it? I mean, just because I believe something is one thing. There's something else behind that miseducation. What do you think that is?
So I would just think, in response to that question, that a lot of these people are in a multi-level company, and that money is involved, and that involving their friends are involved. So they have to believe what they've been told. And so that's what comes to mind when you ask me that question.
Yeah, the word I have is passion, because I'm in this business of the mind body constantly, all day long, every day for 30 years. And no one gets angry unless there's something behind it. They have to have some passion. And I say there's some fear, because what if they're wrong? And if they're wrong, then they can't handle that. Then that has all that fear, and then comes the anger, right?
I love that you just said that, Ron. That helps me just have more peace in my heart. You just help everyone, and I appreciate and love that about you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, it's very true what you say.
Yeah, well, that's my passion, to make a difference in people's lives, just like you, right?
Yep.
And it's fun. And so when someone gets angry at me for saying a truth, right, just, something like that, then I go, oh, well, they're just in fear, and it's okay. And I settle down. I don't have to take it personal. Um, so so the attacks you don't like, but you love making a difference.
Yes.
Now, the irony to this is the more that you love the passion of helping, and you don't like the passion of others attacking, it actually sweetens the pie a little bit when you can help people anyway, right?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So that's the mind and the body and the heart. When the heart gets involved, that feeling, then all of a sudden it can give us, elation and joy, or depression and sadness and things like that. Now, essential oils can touch the emotions in the heart just so fast. It pierces through, and it can make a difference. And so, in your experience, what oil or just your own experience about touching the emotions, just tell us some of that from your view.
I would love to. I've studied this extensively.
Okay, I just got you excited.
Yeah. So essential oils are so cool because you inhale them. It's your sense of smell, right? Out of all of your 5 senses, the sense of smell is the fastest. So if you smelled some aromatic molecule and you stuck a pin in your foot at the same time, you'd actually sense the smell before you registered pain, because it works that fast in your brain, the sense of smell. So it's the fastest one. And your olfactory is the only one of your 5 senses that is tied right into the core part of your brain, the limbic system, and tied right into the core part where we process emotions. So to work with emotional stuff, when you use the sense of smell or aromatherapy, it's so powerful with emotional things, because it goes right to the part of your brain where you process emotional things. And so essential oils are amazing with processing and releasing and helping working through emotional problems and issues.
Yeah, and it's true. And actually, the technical part of that smell, it goes right to the hippocampus, which is your short-term memory, and it pulls in that and long-term. So with that, what you just said, what's your favorite oil to access, let's say, sadness or fear, or any of those kind of things? Do you know?
You mean to calm it? You don't mean
calm it. That's fine. Not to increase it. I don't usually buy oil to increase my.
Like what we said, access
it. Oh, you have some fear, please.
Yes. So I would have to say the first oil that comes to my mind, because it is such an overall useful oil for this, would be lavender. Now, when I say lavender, you must know that there are several species of lavender out there on the market. So we want to be using the Lavandula angustifolia, which is the species of lavender that will give you the medicinal properties that I'm going to just talk about in a minute. Other species of lavenders don't do the same thing. In fact, they can even have opposite effects. So you've got to be sure you're using the correct one.
So if you use the incorrect one, it could actually increase the problem, or it would just be no.
So for example, lavender, spike lavender acts very opposite to the Lavandula angustifolia many times. So it has an opposite, but a lot of people sell spike lavender as lavender, but it's a completely different species of lavender. So yes, you can actually get an oil you think is doing one thing, but it does the exact opposite, exactly. The Lavandula angustifolia, or true lavender, they call it the mother of all oils. And so she calms. In fact, lavender has been researched so much, and it's the #1 oil when it comes to anxiety and fear and restlessness, because it literally calms the nervous system. It calms the nerves. It has such a calming, they call it, what's the name? Oh, I'm trying to think what my mentor used to call it. I can't, it's in my mind, but I can't remember the exact term, but it nurtures you. It almost makes you feel like unconditional love. It has that nurturing energy to it. And so it's so amazing. And it's safe for babies. It's safe for children. It's safe for adults, and it's safe for the elderly. Some essential oils are not. And so that is such a beautiful calming. Also, if you can't sleep, it helps calm down. Lavender, it just has to be mentioned #1 because it's such an all-inclusive, all-encompassing oil.
Now, because this just came to my head because of the lavender, what if someone does have a skin reaction to lavender? Because it's hardly believable because it is so safe. Why would that happen from your view?
Here's a couple options, because #1, if you have a skin reaction to lavender, most people will not react to true lavender or the Lavandula angustifolia, which it should have the botanical name right on the bottle, right on the label. If it doesn't, don't buy it, because that's not a good essential oil company that's selling it without that. But so if you have that one, there's a lot of contaminants that get in our oils. Most people don't realize about 4% of all oils in the US are actually certified organic. So that means 96% of all the oils in the US are not certified organic and raised with pesticides, herbicides, insecticides, larvicides, toxic chemicals, toxic fertilizers. All those chemicals come through the distillation process and end up in the essential oil, which are contaminants. I actually have refined my nose so much, like a wine taster, after tasting wine for 20 years, can taste very subtle differences in wines. So after doing aromatherapy for 20 years, I've kind of trained my nose. I can actually smell really fast and quickly pesticides and oils because it's a chemical smell in the oils, but a lot of people don't recognize that. But just so that could be the reaction. Most people I know who have skin reactions to oils are actually using non-organic essential oils, and they're actually reacting to the pesticides, not the oil itself, but the pesticides that are in that essential oil. But, oh, sorry, go.
Well, I was just going to say, because there could be 2 oils that have pesticides in it, a lavender and another, and they react to the one that's the lavender one, but not another, and they both have pesticides. Why would that happen?
So people don't always react to the same chemicals, but mostly what I've seen, because people have come to me with skin rashes like all up and down their arms, and I'm like, do you use essential oils? And they're like, yeah, I use oils on these
all the time.
And I'm like, show me what bottle you're using, so I find out non-organic. So I say, stop using that. And it takes about 7 to 14 days for your liver to kind of get to a better place, but stop putting the toxins in, and then give your liver a little bit of a break, and then try non-organic essential oils. And I'm not kidding you. I would say 95% of the time that person goes, I can use organic oils because they don't have the pesticides. But there are some people selling things like frankincense. This is the most common thing. Frankincense is supposed to be amazing for your skin, but there's certain species of frankincense that are actually irritating to the skin and not as high quality. So if you're not getting the true frankincense or the Boswellia carteri, then if you're getting any other species, it's not as good for your skin. So they could just be reacting to the species they're getting. And I hate to say it, but I think there are essential oil companies out there that put adulterants such as like vanilla to make their oils smell better to the smell. And that's not a true oil. And so those additions or contaminants can also affect, so there's lots of
Yeah.
things to think about.
Well, and I'm going to bring it all back down to, the mind-body dictionary and the mind-body connection, because that's really what I've been involved with. That's how you came to meet me and how we came to be friends. And so when someone gets this reaction to an oil with these toxins, I mean, how could that be connected to anything with the mind? I mean, I understand the lavender can calm us down and it helps us relax and find that peaceful place. But here we have a skin reaction, and yet in like the Mind Body Dictionary and other books out there and other apps, they say, hey, there must be an emotional connection. What do you think about that?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think I learned a long time ago that the liver is tied to the skin physically, right? So the liver, if you have liver issues, it can actually manifest on your skin. We've actually all heard of liver spots, right? Spots on
Yeah,
our
that's
skin.
true. Uh-huh.
And so I would say that the liver is a very emotional organ. You could probably agree to that.
Absolutely.
And if our liver's upset, then our skin can get upset quite easily. But I agree with you. Can I just throw in something here, Ron?
Please. That's
Yeah, when we first met like 18 years ago, like this man saved my life. I did not know much about alternative medicine or anything. This was, I was just getting into it. And I came to Ron with, in fact, severe anxiety. And I learned, because I did not know before that like it was all the issues I was having was because of deep emotional hurt I was holding in. It was manifesting physically. And you blew my mind with that concept, but it has changed the course of my life, because I completely agree that when we hold emotions in our body, which tends to float to an organ or an area of our body, it affects our physical function of that organ or that area of the body. And I've seen that over and over again. When I work with people with aromatherapy, often I say, what's the underlying issue or emotion that's holding this, skin reaction or this fear or whatever it is, in there. And then we work with essential oils to actually do that emotional release with them.
hmm Yeah, I do remember you coming. Um, and I remember your excitement, exuberation, and also it was some work right at the beginning, and because it was these memories were in your body and they were pretty intense, and you
Yeah,
remember that.
they were going to kill me.
And that's actually what happens, isn't it?
Yeah.
Then, so is it, the liver has a lot to do with sadness and anger, those type of emotions. So someone who actually has a toxic reaction to a product of some sort, any product out there, it's possible they already have a propensity, right, to have that issue come up. Someone else who may have that issues in their kidney or stomach, and it may not manifest the same way.
Exactly.
So as you deal with this with people and you're bringing them along and you're saying, what's the underlying emotion? Do you have some resistance from individuals to say, well, there's nothing, I'm fine? Or do you pretty much everybody agree?
So even though I work with people who tend to be more alternative because they're coming to me, for help, and I'm very alternative, a lot of people have a hard time connecting what this emotion is causing this physical thing. You know what I mean? So we have to say, okay, let's have this discussion. And I say, ancient Chinese medicine says, and taking them back in more Eastern type thought, where underlying emotions literally kind of trapped or held in the body can cause physical manifestation. But it's amazing to me that that's a new concept to most people. And yet, Ron, as you know, because you work with this every day, that's like the key to our health, is being able to release those emotions from the body so the body can function as it's supposed to.
Exactly, exactly. And in the current time frame where we have all this fear, oh no, we've got to hide from the virus. That actually adds to what, from your view? When someone's in fear about a virus coming, what does it do?
I've actually heard people say that fear lowers your immune system, right? Because
Yes.
our energy becomes weak with fear. Fear is a negative energy. It lowers our immune system. So the more fearful we are, the more susceptible we are to get it.
It's insane.
And
I
then
know.
don't watch the news, because it's all just fear going on there.
I was listening to this guy talk about the pandemic in 1918, and he mentioned that the newspapers back then and the government decided to do propaganda rather than say what was true. They wanted propaganda so no one would be afraid. Then when it happened worse, then the government wasn't believed. The newspaper, they didn't believe the newspapers. There were rumors everywhere. There was panic everywhere. So guess what? More people got it. More people got sick. More people died. It's really sad, actually.
Absolutely.
So, um, so uh, then the ones that believe you, then you see them get better effects from the oils, or what?
Absolutely, because a lot of people just don't know what they don't know, but they want
Yeah.
to know to get better. And so as soon as you present the idea, this might be tied to an emotion, let's release that emotion. Here's an oil to breathe, which oils to breathe, of course, we talked about how they affect the brain so quickly, and start releasing those emotions if that's your intention. So many people, once that seed is planted, like it kind of changes their perspective on everything, which it should, right? To be better healthy, we have to understand that emotions can affect our body. And then when we feel emotional or upset, say, okay, now what do I do with it?
Yeah, and then they take action, right?
Yeah.
And that's what I want. I want to empower people. So let's take another condition, and anxiety or depression, your choice. Which one would you like?
They're kind of connected, but let's go anxiety.
Okay, tell me why.
I don't know. When people come to me, it's always anxiety, but a lot of people do say depression, but it's always kind of anxiety first. And so I feel like maybe that's a more broad issue.
See, it seems like the anxious people choose to take action before the depressed people,
Maybe that's what it is.
because they're like, oh, I don't know.
Yeah.
And the
Yeah.
anxiety, I got to do something. I have to do something. So someone comes with anxiety, and obviously not everybody's the same, I assume, when you talk to them.
Yeah. Everybody's different.
What happens? How does that, how do you think with the oils and the mind and the heart and the body, how does that work in your world?
Yeah, so I first of all say I encourage you to use alternative things, because I believe that plants work better with our bodies because they are made naturally on this planet for us. In fact, in the Bible, it says the plants are made for us for medicine. And so I believe using a natural substance that was created for us works better with our body rather than synthesized, pharmaceutical type chemicals. Although I'm not against pharmaceuticals, I just feel like if you had a choice, go to alternative things first. And if they work, great. They're more natural to the body. They have less toxic side effects, that kind of thing, and less toxic effect on the liver and the body. So I always kind of have that. I encourage them to do that. And then I do usually for anxiety, I do talk about the mind-body connection. I always tell people that it can be a misuse of their body's energy. So we actually at our wellness center, we have a biofeedback machine that we use that shows us people's aura, which is the energy that is radiated from our bodies. It shows us how balanced the chakras are. And it's really interesting that most people with anxiety have really, really high functioning upper chakras. So they're clearly smart people, but they tend to bring a lot of energy to their upper chakras. So I talk about that. It's just kind of a mismanagement of the body's energy. So we talk about grounding yourself and sending the energy down to the root chakra, being more grounded and balanced. And we talk about that, but the oils really, really help because they work so quickly with the body. The oils, good oils, are energetic. So they help move the energy. They help start balancing the brain almost on inhalation. As soon as you can smell the oil, it starts balancing the glands and the different parts of your brain. So I just kind of tell them how it works, and then we sit and smell oils, and then I let them pick whichever oils, because I present, maybe 5 or 6 different options for them, and then they pick which one smells best to them, because usually that's the one that they will be most successful using. And so that's kind of the process. But I do want to explain how they work and why they work, and
Well, sure, you could and so when you explain that, then it helps them. But let's go back to this smell for a moment. If an oil doesn't work for them as far as the smell and they repel it, what do you think about that?
Yeah, so not everybody's the same. Everybody has different body chemistry. Everybody has different history and different emotions. Some oils repel me, I'll be honest. Like some smells I can't really get with. So there's some oils that I love for what their medicinal properties, but I never love the smell of them. I believe if you are repelled by an oil, it does not mean that you need it. That's a myth that is out there. I do not think that you need it if you're repelled by it. In fact, just the opposite. I say if you're repelled by it, then pick something that you will like, because number one, if aesthetically you like the scent, you will be apt to use it more and get more benefit out of it. But yeah, if a client doesn't like something, and I've had many clients that smell a blend and be like, oh, no. And so I'm like, nope, that one's not for you, So I think they can, the nose knows quite a bit, so.
Well, in my world, I do both. I do what is pleasant is beneficial because you'll do it. But if someone is going to use kimchi or sauerkraut in their diet for their liver, for most people, it's like, if they've never had it. So I have them acclimate into it, because even though it doesn't taste good, sometimes it's still good for you. So there are those sides too.
Absolutely. And sometimes I say, no, this is the oil you need, even though it doesn't smell the best to you.
Well, they can acclimate it. That's a liver thing. The liver will be the one that will repel it, actually. And if it's too much for it, it's like that. And I understand. So let's come back to this anxiety. Let's say you have two people, and just think of two in your mind. Yeah. And they chose their oils, and they're totally different. And yep. Logically, you go, wait, you both have anxiety, but here's oil A and here's oil B. Tell me about that.
So I just chalk it up to they're different. I say that's perfectly natural and common. That's why I give people a selection instead of just here's one oil. You know what I mean? I say, here's some ones, I want you to smell them and be with them for a minute, and which one are you drawn to? If people choose different oils, I think that's great. And there's so many oils that help with anxiety and even depression, and they're kind of in the same category, but there's so many oils that are beneficial that you really don't have to use one if it doesn't really go with
that's true. That's true. And what I was trying to understand, is it possible that one person with anxiety is, like you mentioned, their anxiety is higher up, like in these higher chakras, or they're thinking too much. But could it also be that they have a lower fear that's just rumbling inside, and that it's a different oil because it actually is a different area of the body? What about that?
Oh, absolutely, 100%. And I think that the gut is so tightly connected to our brain that what we eat and our digestion and when we eat, like I have been so busy that often I've been eating late at night, but I'm telling you what, like my tummy hurts when I sleep, and I'm like, why did I eat late at night? So but it affects our brain. It affects the chemicals in our brain, what we eat and our digestion, and it affects our mood and our emotions too. So absolutely has to be accounted for. And people are so different. Anxiety can come from like any of that.
And so, and I just thought of this, people with ulcers and their gut aches, Dr. Adam Hoffer, who is now passed on because he lived to 96 or 100, but he said the stomach was different in the morning than at the night. It changes. It's amazing. It has to do with your food and immune system. But let's say they have all this worry. What oil usually comes up for a stomach? That, rather than up here and the headaches and all of that, more the gutting kind of anxiety. What would you say would be that?
So if it comes more from the digestion, I would almost recommend oils that soothe and calm the digestion, because it can actually help with that brain connection, which can cause anxiety. So the oils that help with digestion are ginger, which is a warm, spicy, ancient oil. Cinnamon, which also is as old as frankincense and mentioned many times. Cinnamon oil was used in the Bible, even in the New Testament. I think it's Exodus, Moses gives an essential oil recipe that God gave to him, and he gives it in the book of Exodus, where they use cinnamon oil. Isn't that so cool?
That's cool. Yeah.
So cinnamon is very, very ancient, but a great oil. It also soothes the digestion and disinfects, but you have to be very careful because cinnamon is a very hot oil. So you have to use it in very small and diluted quantities, just to put that out there, because I don't want anyone to go out there and grab it. But also, let's see. Did you say terror? I'm trying to remember. What was the emotion that you said with the stomach? You said.
Well, I didn't say terror. But I mean, that's fine if someone's not afraid. It's just that they have ulcers or they have fears and it's stuck in their gut. And tear is a fear, just extreme, of course.
Absolutely. So rose also is a great oil for fear. It calms the heart chakra, and it actually with grief, fear, and loss. And then, well, because see, there's different aspects of fear, as you know. So if it's like grief, fear, and loss type energy, it's rose, and it helps heal the heart, which also works on the digestion. If it's anger, rage, fear, like fear tied to that, I know that sounds kind of weird, but it would be ylang ylang, because ylang ylang releases frustration, irritation from the body. So it's kind of different oils. And if people say, and I'll talk, sometimes I'll, muscle test for people and, to customize exactly which oils they need, as, you're familiar with. But yeah, so if it's from the digestion, I actually recommend more digestion type oils. Off the top of my head, and I have a blend that I highly recommend.
Yeah, it's a good one. It's digestion.
Yeah, and it's called digestion. I just say this.
I wonder if I have it here. No.
I'm trying to remember the oils in there, which I don't. Well, peppermint. Peppermint is fantastic for the digestion, but it's a stimulant. So it depends what other things are going on, because sometimes you don't want a stimulant, but sometimes you do. But peppermint is also a great digestion oil. So it just depends on. I guess that.
Yeah, and I know I'm asking you, off the top of your head, and I appreciate it. You're so bright. In my world, with, for example, the stomach or any of the organs, if they have like an ulcer, I look at if there's too much energy or if it's suppressed or inhibited. So because you brought up cinnamon and peppermint, they can bring in too much energy. Do you consider that? Then do you consider if it has too much energy or not enough, or what?
So I don't necessarily do them in that way. That's more of a energy, and I know some of the
energy point of view. Yeah.
I don't. That's not typically my approach. You will test the client really quick and just say, is this oil going to be good for your body, or if it repels it? And sometimes the body says, nope, not that oil. So then we keep looking, but I don't actually approach it that way, but that's a great way to approach it.
Okay.
Actually, no, there is an oil for ulcers too that is specifically for ulcers. Do you want me to look it up really quick?
Sure. And of course, while you're looking it up, and from my world, there's in the Mind Body Dictionary, we would have the emotions to it. I'm not thinking of that in that realm because I'm interviewing you, but usually there's a conflict, and I've noticed the stomach does not handle conflict very well. Stomach likes to be giving and likes to share, and if there's conflict in someone's life, then they're going to have a problem in their stomach, or it could be their kidney and liver too. So I'm trying to think about this peppermint. Yeah, peppermint, even though it's a stimulant, you can use it to soothe. I mean, it's soothing.
One of the strongest antispasmodic oils that there is.
Yeah.
And so for the digestion, sometimes when there's upset stomach, it actually is quite cooling and soothing. But it kind of depends, because it can be a hot or a cold oil. It actually goes hot first and then really cold, peppermint, when you apply it on the skin. And so you don't want to inflame anything. So like you said, if you had an ulcer, peppermint would not be the best choice. But it can be very soothing. Like for irritable bowel stuff, peppermint is the #1 oil. Like it will soothe. You want to take it in an acid coated or enteric capsule, so it doesn't dissolve in the stomach, but will remain in the capsule and pass through to the small intestine. And then the capsule does dissolve, and it releases that peppermint oil right into the small intestine. And they have done scientific studies. Nothing works as good as peppermint oil. Like it far acts better than most pharmaceutical medicine. They actually have created this medicine, but it's just peppermint in a pill, and it's a pharmaceutical medicine that they sell, but they just put peppermint oil in a pill and sell it for IBS,
Yeah, they probably sell it for quite a bit.
Yeah, and so peppermint is so soothing to inflamed, but in an enteric coated capsule, it would bypass the stomach, so it wouldn't aggravate ulcers, so there's lots of things to consider. But I do have the oils for
Yeah,
ulcers.
sure. Sure, you can say it.
Basil is the #1 anti-ulcer oil, basil oil. So you want a good organic. If you're going to ingest any oil, you got to make sure it's organic so there aren't pesticides. You don't want to throw pesticides in your body. But basil, so you can take it internally, if just in very small amounts, because a good organic essential oil, they're so concentrated. So you don't need a lot. A drop or two is probably max, diluted in a capsule. You could take it that way, or you could even make a lovely basil tea and mix a drop into like a tablespoon of honey.
Mhm.
Mix the oil into the honey and then add 8 ounces of warm water and literally sip on a basil tea.
Wow.
Fantastic for ulcers. There are other oils like Roman chamomile is highly anti-ulcer. I'm just looking through my notes here.
Mhm.
Let's see, geranium and lavender. Remember, we mentioned lavender
Yeah.
is good for so many things. Lavender is actually in that category too. Let me just look through if there's any other ones worth mentioning here. No, the other ones are for mouth ulcers. So those would be the probably best ones I would recommend is like Roman chamomile or a basil for stomach ulcers.
Well, and you put all those oils together in a group. And I'm not saying in a blend. You do have great blends, but just in concept, you bring them all together and just think for a minute. What what kind of emotions and what kind of body stuff, feelings, or thoughts? What does it as a group? What do you think would it help besides ulcers? If you
Oh,
just put them as a group, what do you think?
absolutely, like their calming influence, you know what I mean? For the energetic or emotional part, both basil and Roman chamomile are calming and supportive and nurturing type oils. And the body is a whole, mind, body, and spirit, and we have energy of our body. So the thing I love about essential oils is it works on every level. It works on your emotional body. It works on your energetic body. They work on your physical body. So essential oils are so cool in that they work in all of our levels. So you're exactly right. If you say you make up a little organic chamomile tea from organic chamomile oil, or just the tea itself, from the herb, and you sip on that, even smelling that is going to have a calming, relaxing, like emotional release kind of energy to it. So as you're drinking it, you're getting a physical benefit and an emotional benefit, always with essential oils. And that's the lovely thing about them.
Do you find that sometimes that these will calm us, but someone may have a belief that it's dangerous to be too calm because they're always trying to be on alert?
Absolutely.
What do you say to those people?
Yeah, because I have some people that say this will calm you and help you sleep better. And they go, well, I got to be able to wake up, if my baby cries or something. And I say, essential oils don't work that way. They're not narcotic in that they don't keep you asleep if you need to wake up. And so they just literally calm the nerves and calm the body, but they are not narcotic. So they give no like like you can't wake up kind of energy at all. That's what I love about the natural and alternative realm is it usually doesn't act like that, especially with essential oils.
And so I know this is in my world, but I'm going to ask you, why do you think people have to be on alert from your world? You've been working with essential oils and people for some time.
Ron, you think so deeply. I love the way that you think because you even go beyond what I'm learning still from the master.
No, you're,
So
no, you're
I
cool.
love it.
You're awesome.
Why are people because of fear, because of that anxiety? Yeah, I would imagine why they would feel that way. And yet the oils will work on that level. You know what I
They
mean?
do.
That's the whole thing.
I mean, the oils are working deeper than my thoughts.
Absolutely.
And so on some people, it will get down there, won't it?
Absolutely.
And other people, their thoughts are so strong, they may sabotage and not use the oils sometimes. They may have the key and it's sitting there on the shelf, right?
Yep.
Um, and so I asked that question because you're right, it is fear. It is a particular fear that will cause them to think differently. Now, when you have someone who is sabotaging their life and they get it, what happens for you? They go, oh, I've been avoiding really getting help. The answer's right there.
Yeah. So some people I have seen, if you are set in your mind, because oils, sorry, and I'll get to that, because oils aren't narcotic, they don't force the body or emotions to do anything. And if you actually say, I will not release this emotion, in your mind, you're like, this victim energy is serving me because people give me money or attention or something, you know, because I'm a victim or something, you know, any emotion really. If it serves that person and they don't want to let it go, then they won't. That's your mind, and your intention is stronger than anything else. But I have seen people try the oils who have never tried them before, and I've seen miracles. Like over the years, I myself, I probably would have died without your energy work, and the oils, I believe, have saved my life at least twice. I had cancer at one point, and I chose to go alternative and heal myself, and with a lot of Ron's help. But I believe, so I think I've seen miracles, like miracles with me and other people in my family. People hurt themselves, and oils are so amazing to help repair the physical body, you know, from trauma or injury, you know, like accidents and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And I've just seen miracles, and people are like, I'm so grateful. So,
isn't that great?
I love that.
You are grateful. And I am too. And I get a great joy seeing people transform. There's a little secret that just came to me. So some people come in and says, well, so what if I have less fear and I start to feel better? I'm still married to that other person and they're not changing. And I said, well, you're not supposed to change them, are you? And of course they say, well, I want to change them, but we're not supposed to change them. Yeah. And so I give them a little secret about, if you want to influence the other person, then you influence yourself, right? Yep. You change yourself, and you use the oils or processing emotionally, and both, and watch the magic. And did you ever find that in a person's life, that as they change themselves, what happened to their relationship?
Oh, absolutely. And I have seen that in my own life too, but in other people's lives. I'm just going to use my own personal experience for this, but I found when I was unhappy with the way things were going, and my problem was I kept pointing fingers and saying it's that person's fault. And if they changed, everything would be fine, for years. And finally, I can't remember if it was probably working with you or some other things and some self-actualization, I realized I am going to decide to be happy no matter what happens around me. And I really remember when I did, it was a very pivotal moment in my life, because when I decided just to be happy because I wanted to be happy, regardless if the storm was raging around me, I wanted to be happy because it felt more natural to my heart, to my authentic self. So I wanted to be happy, and I made that change. But interesting, it changed the people around me when I just started being and feeling happier. And I always thought it was because of their actions that I was not feeling happy, but it turned out it was actually myself. You know what I mean? And so I feel that that's so real. If you feel like you're unhappy, just like change yourself, even though you can blame people, and trust me, like there may be reasons, you know, but look inward and change you be the difference that you want to see in the world, and you will create that.
That's beautiful, Holly. That's absolutely true. You be the difference, and then watch what happens around, because it's the focus we give it. If I focus on everybody else, I'm not changing it. I will only end up finding what I focus on. And that's great. That's beautiful. I see a connection here with the oils, because on this, the oils are highly focused. They're concentrated forms of the plant, correct? Very concentrated. And so when we put a very positive energy into the system from this life force from the Mother Earth, it's highly focused. It's like taking our thoughts and emotions, crystallizing them in a positive pathway in the brain and in the heart and of course the body. So that's a really good, I'm glad that we had this conversation, because it helps me crystallize one of the benefits of the oils for that.
In fact, if I may add, you're familiar with homeopathy, right?
Yes.
So they're on the absolute opposite of the spectrum, because homeopathy is diluted so much that like the herb itself is non-detectable, right, in the pellets, right? But on the other end of the spectrum, aromatherapy is the strongest and most concentrated form of plant medicine we have. And so they both work. I'm not saying they're both fantastic, but they are just opposite ends of the spectrum. And when you understand that, And tinctures and herbs are in the middle, you know, that's the plant itself, so that's kind of in the middle. But yes, I love essential oils because they are so concentrated, but you can always dilute them. So you can almost dilute them so much that they work in a homeopathic type energy, because you can dilute them. They would never be like homeopathic, but similar anyway. But I love having the control, you know, and I love having, like, I open my case of oils and I have like a whole pharmacy, you know, of things, cooling and anti-inflammatory and pain relieving and antidepressing and uplifting, you know, all that stuff with oils. And they do so much, but they're very concentrated, and so you do have to be aware of that, but I love them.
Well, and then even in your work with that, you could say that the oils are here and homeopathics over here. Homeopathics used effectively, or the oils, one with very subtle frequencies, the other one with more obvious. In that focused area, that's going to the areas of the body that we focus negatively. Like if there's an ulcer, or if there's IBS, or there's anxiety or depression, it just got stuck. And so this allows us, with the oils, and also using our mind in a positive way, we can actually help transform all that energy that's been stuck so long. What do you think about that concept?
Absolutely. In fact, I've seen people just smell an oil and start to cry. They can work so powerfully and so fast because of the connection with the smell, the scent, right to our, you know, limbic system, where we store emotions and process emotions. I've seen that, and it's really cool. I mean, all therapies can work that way, but I love essential oils because I feel like they can work very quickly. Sometimes they don't. There are some things you have to use them for a minimum of 30 days to see benefits. So like sometimes they don't, but sometimes they do act very, very quickly on some things. So yeah.
That is great. Well, Holly, are you enjoying this interview?
Yes, I love interaction I can get with you, Ron. I really just think a lot of you. So you're talking about my favorite subject. So
yeah, that's right. Well,
yeah.
that and your children. If I talked about your children, that's the other favorite subject you have. So I know that to be true. Um, I'm very connected to having people really connect their body, their heart, and their mind. Do you teach people some affirmations that when they're using the oil, or visualizations that help them really bring all of that into oneness so they can find health? Go ahead.
Absolutely. So we give people like a list of affirmations actually for each chakra, because when we do that chakra work with them that I mentioned before.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Affirmations are very powerful. I am statements are the most powerful thing you can say ever, you know, maybe besides I love you. But I am is such a powerful statement. If you always tell yourself, I am mad, you're going to be mad, and that has an energy to it. And when you say kind of things like that, just, you know, off the cuff, and you're just, I'm, you know, irritated or whatever, you bring that energy to yourself. So if you can focus on positive affirmations, I think that's very powerful. Combining that energy of your affirmation, like, I am gratitude today. I am calm. I am peaceful. I am centered. I am balanced. You know, I'm grounded. Any of those I am statements are very powerful. If you combine that with inhaling essential oils with your intention, because I think the intention is so key. If you say, I am balanced, and you believe in your mind, I can be balanced with essential oils, like, it's very powerful. Your energy of your body moves faster to make that happen. And it works really good. That's been my experience.
Well, with that idea, what you just said, and because I do lots of affirmations, I'm going to take your blends here that I have in front of me. And I think what I'm going to do is choose an affirmation per day that's different, and whatever comes. And I have a list for the chakras, and you do too. In the chakra course, I have these I am statements. And I'm going to take the oil that matches that chakra and do the I am, because you did a great job on those chakra oils. And I haven't done it that way with your oils with the affirmations that way, because it's been a little more random. But I'm not going to do it random that way. I mean, random will be, I guess, because I'm going to choose which oil per day and how I feel, and muscle test maybe or something.
Sure.
And I'm going to experiment with that. Let's see how I feel using your I am statements that you're talking about. Yeah.
Absolutely. That's a great thing to do.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I think this is cool. And I have a time in the morning where I dedicate for myself, quiet time, exercise time. Yeah, this is going to be cool.
I
Yeah.
like it. Yeah.
Yeah, I like it. Do you already do something like that every day or?
So, I've been busy. I started my second business, a wellness center, and that's been,
Yes, you did.
and my husband said, because I'm pretty good at business. And so I just get kind of sidetracked and get caught up, and I wake up and just start working. And he reminds me, you've got to take care of yourself first. Put your health and wellness first, and then you can help other people, right? So um, he also makes fun of me because he goes, he teases me, but he goes, you're a great doctor, but you're a terrible patient. And so I need to use them more in my life. I smell them every day because I'm
Of
smelling
course you do, because that's
clients,
your
and
business. Yeah.
I'm around the energy. Yeah. And I'm making blends and working with them every day. So they're in my life. I actually went before COVID, but I went to church and people are like, oh, what oil do you have on? I'm like, nothing. I just really smell like oils because I'm around them all the time. But I need to use them more because sometimes I just find myself lonely or, tired. And I just say, I just need this oil on the back of my neck and it just helps me feel so good. And I tell John all the time, I'm like, why don't I use them more? And he goes, I don't know. I mean, I use them, but they're so amazing to use in all aspects of life, for tiredness, for, feeling run down, for emotional release, for physical pain and stuff. Like, you can use them for so many things, really.
Well, and so what I've told some people, when they come see me or come to classes, they say, well, I only do all this when I'm feeling sick or tired or overwhelmed, or I'm business, there's problems or family or whatever. I say, actually, if you set up a life that you're consistent on using something like affirmations, oils, processing, energy work, whatever, you won't get all that other stuff as much, right?
Very true.
And
It's like
it's hard to remember,
Yep.
but it works.
It's just like dishes. If you let them build up, you look at the kitchen and go, oh, I don't want to.
Ah,
But if you just keep them processing every day, the dishes, it doesn't seem so bad. It's exactly the same.
it is exactly the same. And but that's part of the mind-body connection, right? Because the mind sometimes just feels like, oh, so much work. I've got to think this way and this way and that way. And so from my world, and you're already behind. It's just like water. If you're already dehydrated, if your mouth is dry, you shouldn't. If you get to that point, you're really dehydrated if your mouth is dry. The same thing if your mind is overwhelmed and confused and tired. It's already, you're behind it. And um, so to help people be motivated, what would you do there? What kind of oils and suggestions would you bring up?
For motivation and
Mhm.
energy.
Yes, absolutely. Because if they're going to do it, if they're going to bring it all together, they've got to be motivated or else it won't happen, right?
Absolutely. So I mentioned peppermint before. Peppermint is a stimulant oil and it helps dispel fatigue and tiredness. It also is great for headaches. Putting just a drop of peppermint ours is super strong. So like dilute it a little bit with the carrier oil, but like on the back of your neck, I do that when I feel tired, and like within 30 seconds, I, I love that. Like
Well,
if I
that's your secret.
if I'm ever driving late at night or going to step in front of people and teach a class, I always put peppermint on the back of my neck. Or our headache relief serum has a lot of peppermint in it, and it's a great blend to do that too. But put it on the back of my neck, and you just like in a minute, you start having energy. You're not tired anymore. All of a sudden, it helps with focus and concentration, so it helps your brain feel good. Also, I have a blend called Energy Boost, and it has oils like peppermint and lemongrass, all stimulant oils, but not like a caffeine type stimulant that really drives your body and kind of burns out your adrenals. This is all like, essential oils don't work that way. They work very naturally in the body, but they just help increase your energy. So there's no burnout, there's no, hangover type thing with essential oils, but you can't there. So I'm trying to remember what's in that blend. I can't remember off the top of my head all of the oils.
You're,
Citrus
you're talking about the headache one or the?
I use the headache one a lot. Like that's what it's in my purse always. I don't even travel without that because there's so much peppermint in that blend, and peppermint also helps with motion sickness. And so if I'm ever on an airplane and whatever, and I just rub a little on my hand right here and like literally just sit and breathe it, because it calms motion sickness or and it helps you feel energized. If you're ever driving late at night, that's one of the best things you can do to stay awake is peppermint. You won't fall asleep because you're just like, but it's awesome. So those oils, let's see, lemon and the citrus oils are also uplifting. Some citrus oils actually help with sleep, like the mandarins and the oranges, but like lemon and lemongrass actually are stimulants and will help you have more energy. I'm trying to remember all the oils in my energy boost blend.
Yeah, and so that's one is the headache one. Another one is energy boost, and they're similar.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay. So you're saying a headache is there's not enough energy? It's like and you just need to build it up, or is it too much energy?
I think a headache is too much energy in my experience, too much energy up here. And our neck is literally the bottleneck of our body. And so it just kind of bottlenecks all this energy up here. But peppermint helps with, I don't know if I believe they work on an energetic level, but I focus more on like peppermint is anti-inflammatory and anti-spasmodic, which help with headaches. It's also analgesic, which is pain relieving. And so it literally, like you can rub it on your temples and put it up around your ears and around the back of your hairline. And it literally is analgesic or pain relieving. And so it takes the pain away as well as takes down the heat and the inflammation. It's also cooling. And you know how nice it feels to cool your head when you have a headache. So it works on many, many levels. And it probably it's because it's a stimulant, I would imagine that it helps the circulation and the energy flow better and maybe move a little bit more.
And since I study a lot of the immune system and energy work in Chinese medicine, I'm curious. I'm going to look up the effects it has on certain hormones and cytokines in the brain, because there's some that cause inflammation and heat, and then others that will cause a cooling effect. Mm-hmm. And I bet it works on both of those hormones, and depends upon what the body is needing and requesting. So thus you're saying it's an adaptogen. Is that correct?
It is. It is, absolutely. I wrote a paper on that.
Okay.
It is. And then another thing that's cool about my headache relief serum is it also contains the essential oil of Tulsi, and I believe that is really good for Tulsi, and it has marjoram and basil, which also marjoram is good to help calm the muscles and release the muscle tension. So I think the blend is a good one, but you can use just peppermint for that. Yeah.
Wow. It's intriguing. It's intriguing. It is so amazing because with just taking the headache alone or motivation, sometimes we have this thought, I think, that it's there's too much pressure or I'm being held back. But my thought process may be off, right? The person may not realize what's really happening. So taking an adaptogen, the body will adjust whatever you need, correct?
Exactly. Yep. And I would say most time people don't understand energetically what's going on in the body.
No, they don't really.
I didn't until my eyes were open. It is a different world to kind of think that way. But I will say most physical ailments that we experience are because of energetic imbalances or trapped emotions in our body. But most people don't think that way. And let me share this experience with you. So
absolutely.
I ate at a restaurant, I won't say, but every time I eat there, I get a migraine headache, and I don't get migraines only when I eat at this certain restaurant, but my kids love to eat there. So, and when I get really hungry, I always say, oh, I won't get a migraine this time. And I always do. So the last time, so I just need to learn, and I swore it off this time again, but the last time we ate there, it's some chemical they put in the rice, and it causes a migraine in 2 hours, like clockwork. So wow. I went outside and I was crying, because I just cry when I get a migraine, because it gets so like my brain is being squished.
Which is beneficial, by the way.
Is what?
That's beneficial to the migraine, because the pressure's there and you need to release it because there's too much vascular pressure there, too much blood. Anyway, go ahead.
So I was in so much pain. I was literally just tears pulling, and my husband came outside. I couldn't breathe in the house. Like, it was really weird. It was just, and you know, your vision, migraines are terrible if you've never had them, bless you. But I went outside, and it was the first time I've done this, because I don't get migraines a lot, only, and I took my hand like this, and I thought of those chemicals in my digestive system, and I went over my stomach and literally just kind of went like this and scooped them out and dumped them on the ground next to me. And I said, I want those chemicals out of my body. And like, energetically, I could barely move my arm because it hurt, but I just thought of you, and I thought, what can I do? And I just energetically just kind of said, like, casting them out of my body. I'm not kidding. And just saying, I don't want those chemicals because they're hurting my tummy and giving me this migraine. And I kid you not, I did that for maybe a couple minutes. And then I sat there, and it was remarkable. I would say within 10 minutes, the migraine was gone. Because energetically, I just said, I put these chemicals that cause this out of my body, and kind of with my energy. And I literally just sat up in my chair and sat back. And then my husband goes, are you feeling better? And I'm like, it's gone. And so we got up and went out, you know, so it's crazy, but most people don't think of the energetic connection, but it is a real and powerful thing. And if we just think that way more, like, energetically, what can I do to help my body through this? Like, it is such a more holistic approach.
And open up to the possibility of that connection. Absolutely. That our mind does have an effect. And I had a little kid, and yesterday it was, and so I told him, let's play with your body structure and your body posture. And I said, slouch your shoulders and try to be happy, and try that. And he goes, well, it's hard. And I go, okay, go up like this, and then be really depressed and sad. And so they don't realize how simple it is. Just our body structure, our minds, and our feelings are so connected. Yep. Now, I am so impressed, though, that you would listen to that thought, right? Because you listen. And that's the first thing. And then you had the belief and faith. Of course, that was also that you're in so much pain. You said, I have to believe this.
Yeah.
I will believe this. And then you just started to pull, because then the frequencies that happen in our brain, you know, a lot of people don't even realize the neurons in your brain, the synapses, the neurons are not touching physically. There's actually a gap. Yep. It's going across a gap. There is information passing across there, but it's also energetic between the neurons of your brain. Yep. So you were just tapping in so well. Isn't that great? Of course, you don't want to repeat the pain again just to do it.
I was just happy that it worked, but I was quite amazed how fast and effective, 100% relief. It was amazing.
Well, that is awesome. That is really, really awesome. And it didn't have to be a special technique. You actually did it with deep need and passion, and the beliefs that you had otherwise. So have you stopped eating at that restaurant?
I have sworn it off for like the 4th time, but I mean it this time. As someone who doesn't like me.
Yeah, you've become more sensitive. Well, I think you were sensitive anyway, probably, to the chemicals they put in there. Yeah. They're right. Yeah. And some restaurants put chemicals on their salad. It's really sad, you know. Yeah. Some do. I have found that if on my sensitivity, that if I want to work with that, so I can eat food that everybody else is eating, then I look and check in the emotions. I check in with my heart. I check in with my body to see if there's something going on that is blocking detoxification. Because if we didn't have a liver to detoxify, we wouldn't be able to eat at all, actually. Absolutely. So our livers must be working somewhat, right? Mm-hmm. And so, so if that would, to help people listening to this, what would be some oils to help their liver with their detoxification, so that, you know, they can actually do it? Because I know the emotions of fear and, the sadness and the anger, and work through those. But what would be some oils to help them so they could detoxify, so they could have a better life?
I'm so glad you asked. Oils are so fantastic for liver detoxification, and they've been scientifically researched and shown to be so effective. The 2 oils you want to use are peppermint and lemon. And let me tell you, this is what, so I say this every time, but you have to make sure they're organic, because can you imagine taking essential oils internally to hit your liver, because they will hit your liver, one of the first things, and having them be non-organic and full of pesticides. You know, like the chemicals, your liver has to detox and break those down. If you're putting poison in, you may see a benefit, but you're also causing harm. Does that make sense? That's why I'm such a huge proponent of essential oils have to be certified organic, so once you have good organic lemon and organic peppermint, I have people put first thing in the morning, 1 drop of lemon oil, 1 drop of peppermint oil in the juice of 1/2 of a fresh squeezed lemon. And it's very, very sour and very strong, no water. Don't make lemonade, but just the juice of 1/2 of a fresh squeezed lemon.
Yeah, no sugar.
Yeah, no sugar. 1 drop of lemon oil, 1 drop of peppermint oil, and you just drink it like a shot. First thing in the morning. You wait 30 minutes and then eat normally the rest of the day, but that will hit your liver first thing in the morning, and it detoxes it. It actually it causes the production of detoxification enzymes in the liver, and it creates that. Lemon is a really internal cleaning oil. It just gets in there and cleans everything up. They aid the liver in detoxification and digestion. And so, but they're amazing for the liver. Then you can also add to that, rosemary is remarkable for the liver, but rosemary is as effective applied topically as it is ingested. The lemon and peppermint, no, but rosemary, yes. So right over your liver, which is right under your diaphragm, you can actually apply rosemary oil. Rosemary helps the liver heal and regenerate itself. And so it's a fantastic oil for the liver. And then also carrot seed is the last one. Carrot seed is the oil I mentioned. It does not have a particularly amicable smell.
No.
One that smells a little off to me. And maybe it's because of my liver. I'm not above that. But it is remarkable for the liver and the eyes, carrot seed oil. You never put essential oils in your eyes. So if you're going to ever use it for your eyes, like get direction from a certified aromatherapist on how to use it correctly. But you can apply it directly over the liver. And carrot seed rejuvenates and restores like no other. Well, very remarkable. There are some other oils that have that remarkable restoration. But it's amazing for the liver if you have like a damaged liver or a very toxic liver. So those are the 4 oils: lemon, organic peppermint, organic carrot seed oil, and organic rosemary are the 4 that you use with the liver.
Wow. And you've done a lot of study on the liver detoxification pathways and superoxide dismutase and all of those kind of things. So you know what you're talking about.
Yep.
You do. And it's very, very impressive because I study a lot of that too and do a lot of work with all of this. In fact, someone the other day, I had to deal with something in their liver because it was very, very severe, and it was great. So that's excellent suggestion. Thank you. I think a lot of people will have benefits. So let's take it even further back into the mind and the heart. Someone's using those oils. From your mind, what would be a positive affirmation to put with that when they're in the morning, taking that little?
If it's for fear, because the liver, are you talking sadness or fear? Either one?
Usually this liver is a little more sad or angry. Fear will be a little more kidney. If the body is not dealing with the fear, the liver is a reservoir for any emotion you don't deal with. So, but anyway, let's go back to sadness or anger.
And anger. So I love the essential oil of ylang ylang releases anger from the body. Every cell of our body is a little battery, if you will. It's a self-functioning battery, but every cell of our body has memory, and we can actually store trauma, grief, fear, sadness, any of those negative emotions in the cells of our body. Ylang ylang is a very unique oil in that when you inhale it, it can release negative emotions from every cell of your body, including it really targets anger, frustration, and rage, which tend to stay in the liver. So if it's more of an emotional liver issue rather than just toxic chemicals, detoxifying the liver, I would always go with ylang ylang. Dispels the anger and sadness. Oh boy, there's so many oils that make me happy. Citrus oils are uplifting. They make you feel lighter and happier. So if it's sadness you're dealing with, and or they work also with depression type issues, clary sage is an essential oil that when you inhale it, it literally lightens the energy of the frequency of every cell of the body. And so you feel lighter. Have you probably never, but well, maybe you have a lot of life experience, been depressed and felt heavy, like in your arms and your legs, like you feel like you are so heavy you can barely move. Clary sage is the oil, you can breathe that and you feel physically lighter because
So
it
that's
the energy.
so that would be the affirmation. I am light. I feel light. I release negative energy, and I'm full of light.
Yeah.
I'm just asking, would you
Yeah.
say suggest that? Or?
With anger, instead of feeling anger, you could do gratitude.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of saying, I have to be happy, but I'm angry, you can just be grateful for what is, because every one of us is probably more blessed than we realize. So just find something in your life to be grateful for and focus on the gratitude or other high energy emotions. So you can say, I am grateful. Or if you can't do that, like any positive emotion that feels good to you or that resonates in your heart or your authentic feeling self, I am powerful. I don't know. Help me, Ron. What are some good affirmations for fear? Gratitude,
Safety,
brave,
security, brave.
balanced.
Mm-hmm.
I'm grounded, because fear brings the energy kind of up and out of. I've found in my practice a lot of people who are fearful, their energy comes up, and too much worry and stress in the upper chakras. If we can ground that energy and send it down, ground ourselves and balance our energy, it can help with that fear too. So I am balanced, I am grounded, any kind of that energy.
Actually, the irony of the kidney meridian, it runs from the feet up to the chest here, has a lot to do with terror and fear and dread. And so when I'm grounded, you think, well, how could that help fear? Because the kidney needs to run up. But the kidney has energy actually going in both directions. And so it calms it, because when the kidney energy is either too fast or too slow, yeah, it would be a problem. And so the other one, though, is the lemon in the morning. I just can't help that lemon and was it peppermint with those two together, right? In the morning, I am joy. I don't know, just
I
that
love
would just help out.
Yep, absolutely.
Wake up, I'm zestful. I guess that's another one. The citrus, right?
Yeah.
I'm
And
zestful.
why not?
Yeah. And the whole family says, why are you so loud? And you figure, oh, did I say that out loud?
Yep. Anything that resonates with you, like anything can be
Yeah.
positive. Anything that lightens you and makes you feel better can be a positive thing.
That's true. But the more unique and creative, whatever the heart is saying inside, that would be the best, of course, obviously. Um, these are wonderful suggestions. I every time I talk to individuals like you, Holly, I learn something, and I appreciate it. Of course, I learn from all people because I think life is a teacher, right? You know,
Absolutely.
so I'm going to apply this, and so thank you for taking the time tonight. You've been marvelous.
Thank you. Can I add one more thing just for your viewers? Because there's
Oh,
one
absolutely.
I just want to add. I've mentioned a lot about organic oils and why they're so important to be organic. If oils are actually organic, there will be the USDA organic seal right on the label, because a lot of people, that's a myth out there, and a really popular untruth that's out there is, oh, look at this oil, it's organic or better than organic, but it doesn't have the organic seal. So if you really want the best oils, you want to look for essential oils that have the USDA organic seal on the label to make sure that you're not getting pesticides. That's the only other thing I wanted to tell your viewers if they do want to try organic oils.
Well, I could apply a metaphor to that, because what the USDA represents in this situation is a standard. It's like a filter saying, does it pass the filter or does it not pass the filter? And the filter is a protection, correct?
Yep.
So that we say, hey, they're not going to use chemicals that are harmful. Basically, is what you're trying to
Right.
say. And I do the same thing when I talk to people about balancing their body with their mind and heart. There's filters. There's like values or something they build up that become true to themselves. So when they're using the oils or they're doing any work out there, whatever company or coach or anybody you use, have a filter of what's true, what's really brings me back to that light and joy.
Yep.
If that oil or that thought is causing something off, come back. It's okay. There's something to take care of. And I mean, I think life experience is great, don't you, to learn from, and it's okay,
Yep.
but come back to center, right?
Yep. Absolutely.
Yeah, you're great. Well, and yeah, you have a center, and you have the purified skin treatment. You have lotions, and my wife uses that, and she appreciates that. She's been very appreciative of that, and so obviously they can be found on the internet. All that is, plus if they're in Utah, they can come to your center, which is a fabulous, beautiful center. The salt room that you have is amazing energy. I just went in there and went, okay, I'll be here for a while.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. It's an awesome place.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
Beautiful. You do great work and a great family and all of that. So, well, bless your heart. We'll talk again. And anything else you want to add?
No, thank you so much for your time, Ron. I appreciate you having me on. Thank you.
Oh, you're very, very welcome. You're very welcome.